It's Christmas!
You're listening to the Greening Out podcast. This show contains profanity, hate for the state, and themes of a libertarian nature. If you are easily offended, please listen to something else. For more, visit greeningoutpodcast.co.uk. Hi, I'm Caity Green.
Hi, I'm Dan Green, and welcome back to the Greening Out podcast. We are your source for quality libertarian banter from Scotland.
We are in Scotland.
Yes.
Now,
well observed, by
yes,
the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, jumping straight in, it's Christmas, in case anybody doesn't know.
By the theme tune.
By the theme tune. That was a nod to Noddy Holder.
A nod to Noddy.
A nod to Noddy.
That was a nod to Noddy.
It really was. Anybody in the land of Great Britain who does not know that song, I don't know how you've managed to escape it, but has crawled under my skin.
You fucking bastards.
The song has crawled under my skin, and I cannot get away from it. So anyway, alright, so we're talking about Christmas time. There's been now Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but there's a lot of misconceptions.
You'll give me into trouble if I correct you when I'm wrong.
There's been a lot of misconceptions and stories I think have gotten a bit mishmashed along the way somehow. Chinese whispers throughout history
about Christmas,
about how Christmas came to be and what the true meaning of Christmas is, as so many films try and teach us this time of year.
Well, you know what? I hear some, and I'm not against Christians, right? But I
know many of them.
But I'm not against them. But I hear some Christians say, like, we need to get back to the real meaning of Christmas. You know, we need to keep Christ in Christmas, and then you have to remind them that the Christmas that they know is basically. Well, it comes from like a lot of sort of European pagan, you know, what we call pagan, you know, you know, the kind of stuff we were talking about before with Daniel Updike, Greening Out drinking game.
Ooh.
But they come from a lot of those winter solstice festivals.
Which
they would hold, like one of such being Yule.
Yes.
Like the people still
The winter
know.
solstice is actually tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd point that out.
And also some of the elements come from a Roman holiday called Saturnalia, which was like
I love this part. This is my kind of thing.
Well, yeah, it was for the god Saturn. It was in honor of him, and it was held on the 17th of December, and that was on the Julian calendar.
Yeah. And
it was like basically it was celebrated with a sacrifice at the Temple of Saturn in the Roman Forum, a public banquet followed by a private gift-giving, continual partying in a carnival atmosphere that overturned their social norms. This is from Wikipedia, you can read this.
Yeah.
Gambling was permitted and masters provided table service for their slaves.
Oh, how good of them.
But like, but this is what happened. So you had these kind of, this is how I understand it, and please feel free to correct me in the comments section if you think I'm wrong.
Which many of you maybe do, I don't know.
No, but basically what they think happened is like the elements from each side came in, you know, like the gift giving from Saturnalia and stuff. You even have like the Yule log from Yule. They think that maybe different elements came in from both sides, and then obviously with the Christianization of these what they call pagan countries, then over, you know, what their traditional festival was, they put Christmas over it.
Nice, sweet.
And said it was like the birth of Christ. And there's actually, I found a website, and
those
it gives
Christians coming in and changing everything.
Well, that was what they did.
I know.
But I'll link this up. Obviously, nobody believes Jesus was born on December the 25th.
Anybody who actually does, please, for your own sake, research that. Go to our links, please. Oh my God.
It would be like a massive fluke if it was, you know. But like, it was...
It just works out that way.
Dionysius Exiguus, a Scythian monk, and he was an abbot of a Roman monastery, and he went, and I'll link this up because I won't read it out because it's a little boring, but like, he had a formula and he went through the Bible and stuff, and he had a formula to determine what it is. So
he had too much time on his hands.
It's shaky at best.
That's what happens before you have internet and stuff. That's like how you had to that's how you had to like make your mark on the world. Like, I'm going to embark on this incredibly boring task and follow through.
That's
so
shocking.
Well done to him.
That poor guy.
What? I didn't say anything bad.
Stuff as well about like the Christmas tree again. That's like that was used in Saturnalia, and the Romans they knew that like because like Saturn was the god of agriculture.
Yeah.
So the Romans knew that the solstice meant that like farms and orchards would be green and fruitful. So to mark the occasion, they decorated their homes and temples with evergreen boughs.
Oh,
and
cool.
then in Northern Europe, the Druids, who were like the Celtic sort of priests that people kind of don't really know much about, they used to decorate their temples with evergreen boughs at that time as well, as a symbol of everlasting life. And even the Vikings, Scandinavia used them because they were a special plant of the sun god Balder. So this is where the start of the Christmas tree thing comes from. And then you have basically Germany in the 16th century. People started buying and decorating trees and putting them into their house, and then it took off. In a big way.
In a big way.
Well, that's how they think, you know.
That's it.
So it comes from these devotional things, you know, by these. I prefer the term pre-Christian to pagan, if I'm honest.
I know. I'd rather.
Yeah.
See, when I think of
not
pagan,
that I am one, but
no,
it's just.
I know, I'm not.
I prefer the term pre-Christian.
Yeah, like just before that. That weird bad time. A lot of shit happened, man, apparently. I don't really believe in it.
History.
According to this history.
I believe in history.
Anyway, it's interesting to look back on the origins of Christmas, and especially what Christmas has sort of become. Quite consumerized.
Well, see, this is why I'm kind of like what I was saying.
I like the free market, though. I just want to make that clear, so I'm not exactly against that.
It's just what I was saying at the start, because it's like, you know, these Christians saying to me, and again, I'm not against Christians, but some of them do say this, they go, we need to keep Christ in Christmas. That's what it's really all about. And you go, no, it's not. That's not what it's about.
Can I share with you a story? It was really nice. This taxi driver shared it with me. And I just loved it. Because, the guy was Muslim, and he said that they don't really have the religious part, obviously, to Christmas.
Yeah.
But he actually said it was really nice. And he just said, you know, you've been working all year. Some people have been away from family all year. And this is one day out of the year where you all get on your best clothes and get together for a big meal and to maybe exchange some token gifts or something like that. And he said, you know, that's what it's about for me. And that's really what it's about for me. You know, I don't look at it from any sort of religious aspect.
Yeah.
And it's, for me, it's about having a couple of days off of work, chilling out with the people that you love, whoever that is, you know, whether blood relatives or just friends, you know, I don't really know.
Katie's having some weird proclamation here.
No, I'm not. I'm just like observing and saying that's what I believe that should be. It's the end of the year. It's coming to sort of a little roundup of everything.
No, I know what you mean. I agree. I'm just winding you up.
I know. It's it is what you do best. My blood pressure is up because of you. So, have you? So anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So basically, it's a synchronicity. Well, synchronicity, a syncretism, if you will.
Ah.
That's what Christmas is.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know why I found that interesting, actually, because I didn't really know about Saturnalia and stuff like that, and I didn't know that that's what they did.
Yeah.
In ancient Rome, I had no idea.
Neither did I.
I knew there was obviously pre-Christian winter solstice festivals, like I knew they were a thing.
Yeah.
And that Christmas was obviously to some extent based on them, or imposed over them, if you want to put it that way. But like, I didn't know about the whole Roman aspect to it.
Yeah.
That was quite cool, man.
No, I didn't know about it either until we were looking at it earlier, and I just thought this is pretty cool, actually, to look at where this all came from, because obviously you're not really taught that. And, well, maybe some children are. I certainly wasn't. I was just taught this is when Jesus was born, and Santa comes and he brings you presents, and that's it.
But
and then as you get older, you just, I don't know. Some people continue it.
Do you know there's another thing as well? And it was one of the things that Jan Irvin had done. Jan Irvin from GnosticMedia.com.
Yes.
And he talked about it, I believe. He talked about it on Red Ice as well years ago. But it was this stuff about how like shamans, for example, would say collect magic mushrooms.
Sure.
This is Jan Irvin stuff, so you can check out for yourself. We'll post a link to it.
We will link it
up. It's on YouTube. And he was saying basically there was all these links, like, for example, with like Christmas and stuff. So like shamans would say, for example, go and pick magic mushrooms.
Right.
And what they would do is they would like have to dry them out and stuff, and they would like go around and carry them like in a sack. And then they would go and they would hang them on a tree while they went to pick more for them to dry out, because they'd be easier to transport when they were dry. So you would have those kind of trees, and then they would have all these mushrooms on them. Right. And
That's
again, you can check
That's
this out for real detail. I'm just paraphrasing what I remember. And then they would deliver the mushrooms as like a thing to the community, because they were like the shaman for the community. And sometimes they would be snowed right in, and they would actually have to go with the sack of mushrooms he'd got off the decorated, well, not the decorated, but the tree with the mushrooms on it, into someone's home through their chimney. to get to them because their house might be snowed over. So then there was all these weird parallels to that. Now I can't remember, I don't really know about the citations, but I'll post a link to it at the bottom. It's just interesting to think of, and you can check out for yourself.
It was interesting looking all this stuff up.
Yeah, it really is. It's just all these, I suppose there probably is a lot of different things that contributed to it, but you know what is weird? Something that's happened here recently, which I know it was an American thing, but I know people that are doing this, and it's this weird elf on a shelf thing.
I've read something about that.
And like they put in, as far as I understand, they put like an elf on your child, like a wee toy elf on your child's shelf, and then they say like it's watching you to see if
Santa's
you're good or bad.
Watching to see if you're like good or bad kind of thing.
And there was a story I found that I linked up on our site in the news section about how someone was saying that it could basically teach your children to accept the surveillance state, accept the fact that they're always being watched, so to be on their best behaviour. It could instill that mindset into them.
It's so funny.
It's creepy.
Again, Dan and I don't have kids, thank God, right now, so it's kind of easy for us to sit here and sort of talk about this stuff as if it's all very easy and logical, just to say, oh well, Santa's just a made up thing.
I'm not talking about Santa, I'm talking about the elf on the shelf thing.
But I know.
I never had that as a child.
I know, but do you know how some people would be like, oh, we don't teach our children about Santa? And it's like, how could you deprive your kid from that?
I don't think there's any harm in teaching your kids about Santa. I used to really like it when I was a child. I thought it was cool.
I liked it. I mean, my parents used the general ruse. If from July onwards, it was basically, if you misbehave again, Santa's not coming. I think she got earlier and earlier as the years went on.
I never got hit with that like that.
Did you not?
No, not that I remember.
Maybe you were a good child then. I think I was a bit of a terror.
No, that doesn't sound right.
doesn't really fit.
Doesn't sound right at all.
No, I don't think Santa is detrimental to children. So
me neither. But see, again, then talking about how people misunderstand this history, it's kind of funny because
lately we've been watching a TV show. Futurama, made by Matt Groening, who obviously did The Simpsons. In case you don't know, in case you live under some kind of hideous rock and you've never heard of it. Yeah,
like the main character Fry, he basically gets frozen in the year 2000.
Oh, yeah, for anybody, sorry, I'm assuming that everybody knows it.
I thought we just explained that.
So
first.
Fry, okay, the main character.
I was jumping in.
The main character Fry, who, by the way, I basically take as the logical conclusion to Bart Simpson. He's like this is what happened to Bart Simpson.
He's not yellow. He got over the jaundice.
No, but like that's what it would. Like if Bart Simpson had grown up into a functioning adult, he would be Fry. So anyway, this pizza delivery guy Fry delivers some food on New Year's Eve. 1999 going into the year 2000, and he gets cryogenically frozen and for 1,000 years, and he wakes up, or basically comes out of this little frozen pod 1,000 years later, and a lot has changed, obviously. And he has to come to grips with it, and it's the story of a young fella, a fish out of water
in the year 3000.
In the year 3000.
But the funny thing of that is
I like the show.
It's meant to be like Fry's time, like sort of the 2000s.
That's like ancient history to them, really.
It's meant to be like destroyed.
Oh yeah.
So they don't really know. Like for example, there's one where they go to a place called Pastorama.
Yeah.
And they present a history, and it's like the 20th century car factories, but they're saying they had primitive robots.
Yeah.
Right? So like instead of assembly lines with cars with like, giant robotic welding arms, they've got like robots dressed as cavemen banging the cars with like clubs. And then there's another one when they say the moon landing place, like the moon landing site has been lost for centuries, and they don't know what motivated them to go to the moon, and they think it was that American TV show, The Honeymooners, when he says to the moon.
To the moon.
Yeah, and then they think like that was the motivation to go to the moon, and that he was some important sort of person.
But it does make you think, see how much of the history that we, I know obviously there's people whose jobs are to find out if this stuff happened, but what if along the way that got garbled up? It got maybe the message, Chinese whispers,
I mean, there's radically different theories just now on Egypt. See, on ancient Egypt, the theories differ immensely, between mainstream archaeologists and then the more sort of...
Dan's really into this, as you can tell. He's not reading this bit off of any bit of paper or anything. He's looking straight in me.
Well, it's really good.
He's looking into my eyes.
If it's still on Netflix and anyone sees the Pyramid Code
with
Carmen Bilter, I really recommend that series. It was really fascinating.
I remember when you were really into that.
A whole different idea on what ancient Egypt was, but anyway,
tangent. Anyway,
but then speaking of Jesus' birth, have you seen this thing where
I don't think either of us mentioned it, but speaking of Jesus' birth,
how do you know we're talking about
have you heard about this?
Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Right, but like that guy that's following Nigel Farage about, and he's dressed as Jesus.
Yeah, that was a weird story.
Nigel Farage is the leader of UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party, which some libertarians are kind of like excited about.
I'm not so much a fan, but
we talked about them before. To me, they're just status conservatives, and I'm neither, so I'm not interested.
Yeah, basically.
You know, and we talked about that in a previous podcast where we detailed a few of their very status policies that we did not enjoy.
So I'm not interested. I'm not a fan. I'm not really convinced.
No, but the guy following him about, right? He's got a robe on. He's got like long hair and a beard. And he looks pretty good, right? Except for
is that what you think looking good looks like?
No, I mean if you're going for that "I'm Jesus following Nigel Farage" look, you know that's a hard look to pull off.
As you do.
But that probably takes a lot of walking. So instead of the sandals, he's got on a pair of trainers. And at one point, it looks like he's got a mobile phone in his hand.
He's funny.
But that's the thing. But I suppose if you're going to those sandals, if you're going to follow Nigel Farage about all day, you know those sandals are going to be cumbersome. You need a quality pair of trainers.
Yeah.
No, I think the real question is really, what is he trying to achieve? I mean, what point is he trying to make by following Nigel Farage around?
I don't think there's any point to this.
Do you think it's a dare or a bet or something? Do you think someone's like bet him? They've said like, maybe. Bet you 20 quid you won't. No, but probably not even more than 20 quid to be fair.
Yeah, I would
What would you do it for?
Okay, right. If we're going to play this game, what would I?
We're going to play this game.
For me to dress up as
Jesus,
as Jesus Christ,
or you could do Mary if you want.
No, why? Well, that's sexist. Why would I automatically want to be the girl? Why do I have to be the girl? We've had this conversation before.
No, I just thought if you wanted to, but if you wanted to get a fake
I don't really
beard
know,
and be
right?
Jesus,
I don't know
I
don't know who I want to go as, but I'm just saying, like,
for you to dress up
as somebody from the Bible and follow Nigel Farage about, I would say $1,000.
Really? Would you? Oh well, I'd do it for $1,000.
Is that not? I mean, because you'd be putting yourself out there,
depends
basically.
How many days you're doing it for, though.
Maybe that's $1,000 a day. Is that too much?
I don't know. Is a bit
Is
much.
that worth it? What's the going rate? I want to talk to the man. I want to ask him questions.
I mean, if your guy gets pictures before the paparazzi as well and sells them,
they're worth a fortune. Maybe he's in cahoots with some pap.
You never know.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea.
Maybe he's just a
It's
fun
weird,
guy.
yeah. Like a guy dressed as Jesus falling about with trainees and a mobile. Eating eggs or something. You know what I mean?
I don't know what he's trying to say.
I don't think there's a point to it.
I don't know if he was saying it to him or whatever, or if he was just following him about.
I don't know.
I
really don't know.
Right.
I wouldn't really want to guess. This is weird now.
Have we spent too much time on this?
I think we spent a little bit too much time on this story.
Well, we start to move towards the libertarian
portion of the show.
Yeah, let's do that because, you know, there's some people that have tuned in like, where's the libertarian stuff starting?
So yeah, as promised, the libertarian portion of our show. There was an interesting story, not interesting, it was sort of infuriating actually. This week, the death of Eric Garner, in the States, led to, people that hashtag, trending I can't breathe, which were apparently his last words, I think, Dan.
As far as I understand
I understand it to be, yeah. We are, of course, going to link it up at the bottom of the show so you can look for yourself. So, that led to the hashtag trending I can't breathe. And Dan, I believe we linked up a story, or we found a story about, there was actually a sort of, a group of people actually wearing...
It's a pro-police march, basically. Wearing shirts saying I can breathe.
You tell it, honey.
Yeah, saying like I can breathe.
Yeah.
And, And it just, you know what, it's so weird to me, right? Because I know that, like, you could say, well, they're in the US, right? Fine, fair enough, you know, it's different. And some people are saying this is a kind of racial issue. Yeah. I don't think it is, man. I've read and linked up a lot of stories about white people getting abused by the police as well. See, the police, they're equal opportunity when it comes to abusing people. They'll abuse anyone.
Oh, the police will absolutely.
I know it's probably, and I think in America it's disproportionately black people as far as I understand.
As far as I understand it to be.
But like, you know, they'll abuse
I'm
anybody.
not gonna, yeah.
It just infuriates me to see a bunch of
people.
The
police will abuse anybody that they see fit. And
see a bunch of people marching like in favour of this,
of
government police. Do you know what I mean?
I know, I'm not like against people, like private security companies. I'm not against private security as a thing. I'm not against security at all. I'm not against having somebody protecting you. What I am against is bringing the state into it and having them be the state's, you know, cronies who just do all their dirty work for them and go and get the people.
They're just outsourcing their violence basically to their own thugs.
And then the fact that we also, as people, the people that they are even arresting are having to pay for the privilege of having it. Yeah, now, exactly. Obviously, I'm saying if somebody, you know,
let me just bring this back as well, just a little bit, because I just want to say that even though we're talking about police in America here, don't ever think it can't happen here.
Oh yeah, no, it could totally happen here.
The police here are following the militarization of the police in America.
Some of our police are armed.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say before, it's funny because whenever I start to say a thing like this, my brain runs about 5 seconds ahead or something ahead of what I'm going to say next. So I know it doesn't seem like that because I can't articulate it all the time.
Yeah.
But usually it just goes to the argument that somebody throws at me whenever I say these things.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody goes, oh, well, if you're against the police, what's going to happen when somebody's trying to break into your house? Who are you going to phone? And I go, no, I don't have a problem with like the idea of it is fine. It's just the whole in the whole complex web that surrounds it of the fact that the police, there is a lot of police violence and you can't really get away from that. No, it's factual and it's out there.
Yeah, and
but people are incredibly blind to that, and people don't really take to it very well, and they always jump to the, well, what are you going to do if somebody breaks into your house? And I feel like, well, no, that's not a logical conclusion to that thought.
And then we find
you're jumping 1,000 light years ahead here.
Yeah, and then we find these people in New York marching in defense of these people. It's sticking up for them. I wonder how many of them are ex-police or have a relative that's in the police. I would imagine. Yeah, I don't know. I'd imagine.
But yeah, but do you understand what I'm saying about the argument?
Do.
Like when someone is,
and they go, "Are you going to call?" Well, I don't have any other options just now, do I?
But it doesn't mean I agree with it.
No, of course not. It's like saying, why do you drive on government roads? Because I couldn't get anywhere if I didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean? Yeah. It's like you could say to Rage Against the Machine, who are all socialists, you could say, well, why are you signed to Warner Brothers Records? Well, they would say, well, why is Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto, in your local, Waterstones bookshop or Amazon or whatever? Do you know what I mean? You use what's around you to get your message out.
Yeah. Even
if it's something you're against. If you can't get around it, you use it. So you can see that on all angles, on all sides, that argument.
So basically, Eric Garner died from heart failure in July. He was put into a chokehold. It is illegal. It's been illegal, in that state since 1993.
For a police officer to put someone in a chokehold.
For a police officer to do that to someone. It was pretty disgusting. And the guy died, and I mean, I've heard the whole thing of, well, he shouldn't be breaking the law, and that really grinds my gears when people do that, because
it really grinds my gears.
Everybody's broken a law. Everybody's broken a law.
Oh, of course.
The severity. I mean, unless the guy, killed somebody in front of them there and then, and even then, I don't think a chokehold. I don't think there's no need for that. It's so unnecessary. There's no need for that.
Yeah,
Jesus, my head's exploding.
But again, it's back to these people who view the police as like our friendly saviors, like our big brothers who are looking out for us, so that when someone bullies us, we can just call on our big brother to come and sort them out.
I said this before. I've said this before. I don't think all police are bad.
No, I don't. I don't technically think they're all like psychopathic. I think I think a lot of them are, but I don't think they all are.
The whole sort of police, militarization of the police and stuff, I don't think they're all bad. I think they're misguided.
I wonder, right now, I don't know. I wonder how in like police training stuff, how they present the public to them. Like, I would love to see how do they present the public as like an enemy or something? As something like, in what tone?
I don't know.
I don't know. If anyone can let me know, I'd be interested.
Yeah, I don't know any. I don't socialize with any policemen, so I don't know.
Funnily enough.
I mean, the people. It also really has a lot to do with class. Now, I know some people would be like, "Oh no, it doesn't," but it kind of does as well, though. Who you are. Yeah. Has a major effect on how you're treated by police, especially in Glasgow.
We'll put it this way, right? They're going to do in Glasgow now they're doing this stop and search stuff where they're saying during the festive period they can stop and search anyone, right? So see if they're looking for drugs and I'm walking down the street with my long hair and stuff like that and there's some old guy walking beside me in a crisp suit, who are they going to stop and look for drugs on?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're not going to look for drugs on that guy. It's going to be me.
I would look on the other guy because he's the one I would least suspect. And it's important to note they wouldn't find any drugs on you.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah, but I'm just saying, just because I look a certain, like, for example, I was going to meet a cousin of mine once.
Oh, I remember
he worked
this.
in a shop in the town, in the city centre, and it was funny because I was waiting for him after work, because we were going to go out after work. So I was waiting outside the shop. I'd gone in the shop at first, and then I kind of spoke to him, and I'd gone out, and apparently he'd heard something over his walkie-talkie from the security guard saying, "Yep, we're seeing a guy, long hair, walking about there, keep an eye on him."
You went, "Oh, it's me."
I wasn't going out to shoplift, I wasn't even going into the shop, I was only going to see my cousin and say I'll wait outside till your shift's finished.
Nice.
Do you know
I remember
what I mean,
that story. I remember you telling me that when we were in
I'm
said
not
shop.
comparing that to racial stereotyping in America. It's important to note that. I'm not comparing that to that at all.
Oh, for God's sake, no, of course not.
I just think it's important to note that.
I don't think anybody would accuse you of that.
But that's what it is. But I just find it strange that people would actually go out and proudly, defend this because it's... But again, like I said, the state infantilizes people. I keep saying that. It also kind of brainwashes to a way. Well, I mean, put it this way.
His tinfoil
Do you not
hats
remember in school, like in primary schools and that, getting taught, like, a policeman would come in
with a suitcase full of the drug samples,
but not just
show
that,
you and go, "Don't touch this."
Yeah, they would do that in secondary school and stuff, but then even earlier in primary school.
No, we got that in primary school.
Did you? I don't remember that, but we had policemen coming in and telling you things and what's good and what's bad. Yeah. And how you should trust the police and all that. So it's like, you're up against it right from the start.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit, maybe there's some people who you kind of need that with. I've sort of witnessed a few, children.
Some people who are not of a libertarian disposition.
Yes, maybe some people need that.
I kind of find a lot of libertarians, the kind of thing about them is why they're libertarians is because they feel they can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about state infantilization last week, like, and how, like, some of these people wanted to be back in East Germany, like, communist East Germany.
Because somebody took care of them.
And they had guaranteed they were taken care of. But the libertarians I know are people who are, a lot of them are preppers and stuff. They're people who don't need anyone to take care of them. They're people who are happy to take care of themselves.
But they're being forced to take part in this social contract thing that they don't want to be a part of.
That's why we're pissed off. But the thing is, all these people I know, and us included, we're confident enough to say, I don't need some kind of Leviathan big guardian looking over me.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I can do it myself.
Yeah.
I don't need anyone,
And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that do need it, though. But which is why I think it should be through charity. But anyway, we're getting into a whole different episode here.
But no, it just links back to what we have been talking about. Of course. But that's all it's just what we're seeing here as well. We're just seeing the effects of this. I mean, come on, it's brainwashing because the government run the schools and they have the police who are their thugs in the schools telling people it's...
I know. I can feel the status arguments being said to the computer that this is being viewed from.
See when you...
Listen to from.
It's like when you say to someone, you say... Like, if I don't pay my taxes, then the police come and kidnap me, and people go, "Oh, well,
they don't.
They're not kidnapping you." And
you
go,
"No, they are."
Okay, define kidnapping, right?
Taking someone against their will.
And then tell me how the police coming in here and arresting me is
well,
any
people
different.
would just say it's justified. People just always would say it's a justified kidnapping because you broke some kind of law. Therefore, you then break the social contract. I don't know. So I've heard arguments about it. It doesn't really stand up, does it? No, not to us anyway. So.
No, it doesn't really, because we never actually sign anything. They say the police in this country govern by consent.
I got told recently.
I didn't vote for that. I didn't sign a thing where I said, yes, I consent to these people enforcing laws.
Yes.
No, did I? Fuck
I know,
man?
I know. And it's funny because I think I got told last week I got asked, why can't I accept things the way that they are?
Mm,
and I think I said, because they don't have to be that way. It's not black and white. It's not,
But again, it's, the old thing, and it's like, what is it? I'll butcher this, but you'll get the general idea.
Go.
But it's like they came for what, like, I think it's a Nazi everything. It's not like they came for the Jews, but I didn't speak up because I was not a Jew, and then they came for the trade unionists, I didn't speak up when I was not a trade unionist, blah, blah, blah. Like, it keeps going on, and then when they came for me, there was no one left to speak up for me.
Yeah,
and it's that thing where if you don't say, like, even stuff when they try and crack down on the internet and stuff now, some people say, oh, it's only a little bit or whatever. You go, no, this is how it starts. Yeah. It'll snowball, it'll mission creep. It's like Iraq. Just there, it was like, well, we're just going to lend the US some assistance going back, and now we're going to send some troops, and it just keeps escalating.
Although you're using a slippery slope argument, though.
That's a good point.
And you're against slippery slope arguments.
No, but they have done those things, because now they were talking about troops to Iraq again.
That is true.
Yes.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? But I know, like, the slippery slope argument is what people use against, like, drug decriminalisation. They say that everyone will be on the street with
that's why I'm very aware.
Arms.
I'm very, very aware whenever I start to use a slippery slope argument.
It's like some people against gay marriage as well. They use that kind of thing. They go, well, and people will be marrying their dog and their grandmother, and you're like,
what?
No. There's laws against bestiality and against incest. You know what I mean? So like,
you're covered.
Yeah, they're not talking about changing that.
I know.
And then obviously, as I've said it before, and there's an article on it, Grading Out Drinking Game.
Mm-hmm.
I said before, like, why do you even care what the government thinks of your relationship?
Well, I think it's more of a legal aspect. I know we are married,
but that's when we were statists.
But I think it's more of a legal, like, for legalities, I think also for tax.
But that debate at the time, to me, which was the point, we had the debate about gay marriage in
also
the UK.
Rights. I think rights, you're not really considered family.
Yeah, see, I get that. I think everyone should be equal anyway, right? And that kind of thing. But like, it was just, it seemed like at the time was such a big divide and rule thing, because everyone was arguing over what marriage means. Like the church were saying that marriage means a union with a man and a woman, and then you wanted to redefine marriage, and they were arguing over what a word meant, while all this other shit was going on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, don't look at that, let's argue over what the word marriage means, because that dominated all the talk shows and the papers for a while. Do you know what I mean? And it was a distraction.
I remember looking at it going, who the fuck cares what they think marriage is?
Yeah, it was just a fucking distraction. But like, that's classic, and people don't realise that old divide and rule tactic.
Yeah.
Also, it works so well.
It's funny because people
use it.
people have this really weird, fucked up idea sometimes of what marriage is. I don't really know. Like, is it supposed to be a certain way? Is something supposed to happen? Is it supposed to be this is the marriage model, and this is what people should do?
No, but see, that feels very communist to me. Do you know that whole idea?
But we were saying though that we are communists at home.
Well, you could put it that way, and that is true, because at home, me, you, and the dog share everything, or should it be?
Not in a weird way. Like, we don't share food with the dog.
Aye, but do you know what I mean? Like,
we don't have one big trough.
No, aye. But
we all just dig in.
You know, we share the food that's in, we share the water.
Me and you do.
Yeah.
The dog's not part of that.
The dog shares the water, not our water, but we give him water.
We give him water.
And we give him some food that we also eat, chicken and things like that. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? And we are sort of communists at home.
Yeah. It's funny that.
But see, I think that's fine for me for a household, but I don't want that to extend to a town, a city, a country.
No, I don't think. I think it's a little bit
continent, a world.
It's really, really funny. Somebody said to me that I was idealistic for being a libertarian, and I laughed because this is not ideal in any way, shape, or form to think this way, really, because you have no option.
Yeah, it's because you're not utopian, which is the thing.
No, I don't think there's a cure-all. I don't think
think that, like, whatever you want to call it, Libertarian, Capistan, I've heard all different names.
I've heard a lot of names for it.
Whatever you want to call it, it's not, what we envision wouldn't be perfect in any way, shape, or form.
I just think there could be things that could be definitely tweaked in the current system. That's a nice way of putting it.
That's a very nice way.
We could just tweak a few knobs.
How diplomatic of you.
Yes, we'll just tweak a few knobs here and there. Clean up a little bit around.
Tony Benn, who was a socialist.
He was, yes. He was quite open about that.
He was very open about that.
Some might say, in case you're not familiar with the man.
But what he did say is, and part of his disillusionment with politics, he was saying about how there was, and he was right about this, he said nothing ever changed with the other governments, like there was no big change when a different party got in. All it was a bit of a tweaking of the usual management, and that's all we've seen for so long. It's just like, there's all these different parties, but all they would do is just tweak it a bit. No one would really change anything in a big radical way.
Well, remember in Futurama, they had a great scene with the politicians, and they were both just exactly the same. They were wearing the same thing.
They were a clone of each other. They were a literal clone of each other.
And it was like the two big parties, and then they were talking about all the little third parties.
Aye, and they portrayed them all as being real weirdos, like real freaks. It was like almost like a freak show, like that was all the third party candidates, and that was interesting.
That was.
Because see here, if you take like, and I've said this before, if you take like David, like, okay, so David, Freudians calling Dr. Freud, Ed Miliband, his brother's David, but like everyone.
I don't know why it's Freudian.
He was like, I don't know.
It's just the same.
It's just what people say, you don't have to know what we're talking about. Okay, right, so you've got Ed Miliband, leader of the Labour Party, David Cameron, leader of the Conservative Party, Nick Clegg, leader of the Liberal Democrats. What's the difference? They all look the same. They've all got like relatively similar backgrounds.
Just different colour, like
different colour
Lib Dems are just a different colour of tie.
And
really.
then I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. George Galloway said, "If an arse could have 3 cheeks, they would be 3 cheeks of the same arse," and it's true. But it's true. And that's all you see anywhere. You just see people who are pretty much the same. You know, no one's got any real ideology anymore. Even like, what was it? Was it not something Tom Woods put up on his Facebook on Ron Paul's birthday? And it was something like, Mitt Romney's philosophy changed my life, said no one.
No one ever.
I think that was, Tom Woods put it on his Facebook on Ron Paul's birthday.
Yeah. No, it's entirely true. Because, I mean, there's nobody that really inspires me these days.
Nah, because all they are is just managers. And
yeah, it's pretty sad, actually.
See, there's a great show. Obviously, it's like, everyone thinks like The Thick of It. Well, that's a great show. It's like the great sort of British political comedy. But there was one before it. I don't think it's as good as The Thick of It, but I think it's better in its own way and not as good in another way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's like Yes Minister.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it's about like, if you can find it, anyone, I highly recommend it. Then it became Yes Prime Minister. Yeah. And it's about these civil servants, you know, and they're civil servants to a minister, and then later on he becomes a Prime Minister. And it just shows you how like he practically makes no decisions, and they manipulate, like the civil servants manipulate all his decisions and stuff, and like they're on neither side in a way, because he said, you know, if I did everything, he said, I've been a civil servant, one of the episodes, for like 20 years. If I did everything, I would be in favour of privatisation, nationalisation, you know, and then all these things, because he served different governments. But in that, it's like ultimately the civil servants who are really pulling the strings, which I wonder how close to the truth that is. I wonder.
So, can I just share something that
That's the thing you're annoyed about?
God, I'm annoyed about. I come across really bad on this podcast sometimes, because it seems like I'm annoyed by everything. But no, I was really, really annoyed by this. Recently, there's been this thing, a petition. Should it be illegal for politicians to lie in Parliament?
Well, then nobody would say anything.
And then I'm just like, that's the dumbest statement or question I've ever heard in my life. Of course they're gonna lie. And see, making it illegal, by the way, makes no fucking what the fuck? See if they lie, like...
Yeah, you might catch some people out in certain show trials, you know what I mean? There's such a thing as war crimes, but somehow they don't apply to people like Tony Blair or George Bush. It's only usually African leaders that somehow end up in The Hague.
So,
funnily enough.
What's telling a lie? I mean, what was that? Does that go to saying this war is...
Is it only afterwards, but then...
What the fuck? You know, lying.
Like, so
Tell
maybe
me
maybe they'll do you for it afterwards.
They lie every day. That's all they do. They stand there and they lie and they lie and they lie, and they make up all these things.
There'll be nobody in there. It'll be empty.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And it's like,
should we make it illegal? Can I just say, should we make it illegal for them to lie? Making something illegal doesn't automatically mean people go, oh, can't do it anymore. Shit.
They'll find other ways to bend the truth.
They find other ways
like when
to
they
do
have
this.
These sort
find
of commissions,
loopholes. Yeah.
And people sit there and they go, and they ask them questions and they blatantly know the answer, but they can't lie because it would be perjury and they're under oath.
I don't recall.
So, yeah, that's all it is.
Remember.
And it's like, none of these people remember fuck all. What would they all do?
Wow.
How have they got such bad memories?
How have they gotten to this point in their lives?
How did they run such successful careers without
can't remember a fucking thing. So, should we make it illegal for politicians to lie in Parliament? Of course we fucking shouldn't. It doesn't make a difference. Or we should. I don't care. I don't care. Who cares?
See,
it doesn't change the power structure. It doesn't change what's happening in the world. Should we make it illegal for politicians to lie? What the fuck is that about? That just annoys me. When people that have maybe a bit of clout and a bit of power in this world, you know, people who have, you know, who actually have a good outlet, you know, a large audience for them to actually say things that actually matter, and they come out with this absolute drivel, this absolute shit out of their mouths. Should we make it illegal for politicians to lie in Parliament?
Katie's having a minor
No, but like, seriously.
No, I agree with that. I understand what you mean, yeah.
Why are they, just get off my TV. I can't even.
See, the comedian Mark Thomas, man, he wrote a book called The People's Manifesto. It was quite funny.
Yeah.
And he had a bit in it, and it was like, we should make manifesto promises legally binding.
Yeah, that was funny. I remember reading
because
that.
People they promised the world, these politicians, and like, it's just a little bribe. Stefan Molyneux, I think, described it as that. He said it's just like them waving something in front of your face, trying to bribe you to put them in power.
Free healthcare.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Shiny.
And that's what it is. And then I totally buy the argument that like voting for like a politician is immoral because you're just voting for someone else to enforce laws on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
I don't.
You know, and I don't know how we got any voting at all.
This is the portion of the show where Dan and I just hang our heads and go, what are we doing with our life? Like, what is this all about? And then we come back. We come back to the Greening Out podcast, which is something that we feel that we can do.
Well, exactly.
To try and say that, look, you don't have to be, I don't know if this is mean to say, you don't have to be rich, middle-aged person to enjoy libertarianism. You can be whoever you want to be, and
it's just because
we've you're against tyranny.
We've encountered some people in this country that think that people who are libertarians are necessarily well off.
Yeah.
Or like quite middle class or something like that, you know,
and
that's not true.
That's not true for all libertarians at all.
No, it's rubbish. But like, we've come across a few people who that has been their opinion, and it's a bit weird.
It's odd.
We're dispelling that myth now. We are not rich.
We are
in any way, shape, or form.
We are poor as fuck.
We're doing this behind a skip in an alley just now.
Behind the house we used to own. No, I'm just kidding. We are indoors. We do own the property. We are okay. Just want to make that clear for anybody that thinks
we're really... we got a kick up in donations there when people thought we were homeless.
People thought, they're homeless, I'm going to donate.
You never know, we got a lot of cans of soup our way.
Woo! Anyway. But, I don't know, what were we talking about before? Should we maybe try and liven this up a little bit, maybe try and go a little bit more positive? I feel like I complained a lot there, and I do apologise for that.
I think you needed to let that out.
I had to let it out, I had to vent, I had to let it go.
It just does freer now.
Yes, I do. I feel a lot better. Sometimes you need to talk it through. So podcasts like this is something that we feel we can do to talk about these things, because we think people should talk about these things. We should talk about current events and talk about what's happening in the world.
Absolutely, and like in the mainstream media, there's certain, topics that are off limits.
But you should be talking about them.
Well, exactly.
And we try to. So.
Exactly. So if you like it, this is where I throw our own pitch in. Feel free to give us a donation.
Don't.
Take
okay.
in $1, euro, £1.
Or just maybe have a listen to the show, leave a comment and say if you
leave a comment or even
thought.
share it on your favourite social network. That really helps the show too.
That does.
Just share it.
We really like that as well.
Or like our Facebook page, man, because we've got like nearly 800 Twitter followers, but somehow we're lax on Facebook.
I think Facebook we're still like under 50.
36.
36. Woo.
So go ahead.
So if you want to be lucky
37, see if you want to do.
37.
There's no prize.
There's no prize involved, but you will have the satisfaction.
I just think that's important to mention.
You will have the satisfaction of helping us grow the greening out message. Which is, we don't really know what it is. Don't take yourself too seriously. I don't know. Do we have a message? I don't think we do.
I liked it when Alan Watts, the great man,
where did that come from?
He called himself a philosophical entertainer, and he said, "I am not a serious person, but I am a sincere person."
Oh, that's a nice quote.
I like that. There you go. That's a wee nice ending
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you, Alan Watts. And for more libertarian podcast writings and news, you can go to greeningitpodcast.co.uk.
Yes, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you and good night.